Hi, this is Alfonso Lopez, university professor and CLIL educational consultant. And today I'm here to talk to you about defining grammar objectives in the context of CLIL lesson planning, content and language integrated learning lesson planning. This webinar will have two parts. In the first one, we will talk about why it's interesting, necessary, important to define language objectives. And number two, we'll actually look at how to write those objectives. Well, defining language objectives is really demanded by CLIL's dual focus. So CLIL, unlike immersion or content-based instruction, has sort of a 50%, or I don't know if 50%, but definitely quite a balanced focus between content teaching, so basically the teaching of the different subjects and their curricula, and language support. So we actually need to include that language in our lesson planning as objectives. Now, many teachers, especially here in our context in Spain, they tend to rely on whatever the libro del profesor or the teacher's book recommends in the textbook design. Some textbooks are okay at doing it. Some textbooks are not very good at doing it. So it's usually, I would recommend it's better that we develop those skills ourselves as teachers. Also because we might decide not to rely on the textbook for all the activities, definitely for all the activities, or for some of the units, or even just, go altogether textbook free. So if we're designing our materials and our activities, we do need the skill of figuring out what are the language objectives of what we do. Now, the crucial concept here is that of content obligatory language. If you look at a specific component from content class, in this case a natural science class, and if you look at the objective that emerges from the curriculum, you'll very soon notice that this content objective naturally requires a number of language objectives. In other words, for a student to do this, to describe in simple terms, the natural water cycle, you should be asking yourself, what language does my student need? Okay, now in this case, quite obviously, we notice that there are some lexical items. There's words like evaporation, condensation, wind, ice, river, whatever, sea. But there are also some grammar structures. When we talk about tenses, we might consider the simple present, or even we might consider supporting our students to use connecting words, those grammar words that help connect the different sentences, words like firstly, secondly, next, eventually, finally, and so on. Content obligatory language, according to the original scholars that formulated this term, are the objectives, the language objectives that reflect the language that is essential for understanding and for talking about the content. It emerges from the content, not the language curriculum. What does this mean? Well, crucially, that it should be evaluated in one way or another by the content specialist, because no content obligatory language, no ability to achieve many of the objectives of the content curriculum, in this case, the natural science curriculum. Interesting textbook example here. This is a relatively old textbook, but I think they do a good job at connecting content and language objectives. Santillana, Essential Science 6. Notice how the language objectives kind of are very naturally emerge from the content objectives stated at the top, especially the more productive ones, the ones that have the word describing. Notice also that the objectives are functional. So there are some sample sentences or phrases given in italics, but they correspond to language functions expressed using ing forms. And we're kind kind of going to use this approach when it comes to defining our own language objectives. What should we include? Well, this is what I recommend. Number one, some indication of context or overall academic purpose or content purpose of what we're doing. In other words, in this case, in this specific case, describing in simple terms the natural water cycle. That is what we're doing at the level of content. Number two, if possible, find an associated language function that we can refer to. For example, describing things that are always true, which is what we do in science more often than not. Thirdly, identify the grammar structure that is being used or that we're asking the students to use. In this case, use the simple present tense, normally in third person. And finally, I would really recommend that you give some sample phrases. That's going to be make things clear for the student, make things clear for you. For example, the rain falls into rivers, the sun heats the sea. So a fully stated language aim could look as follows. Students will use the simple present tense to describe facts about the natural water cycle with phrases as the rain falls into rivers, the sun heats the water, etc. Now here the print in red is, you should not include that in your when you write the objective. This is just for me to show you the different parts and how they fit together. Of course, the order can be changed. You could actually start with the structure, for example. Well, which is what we do here. You could start with the content. Students will describe facts about the natural water cycle by using the simple present tense with phrases such as. So these are like different building blocks, and we can change their order. Now, for a lot more on this and other topics related to lesson planning, language analysis in English classes and CLIL classes, I actually published a book some time ago, Language Analysis for English and CLIL Teachers, a Practical Guide, and there is a full chapter devoted to CLIL. So I'd really welcome you to take a look at it. You can find the links in the description of the video. And that's all for today. Thank you very much for watching, and hope to be able to record another webinar soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.